The child's hand was still warm when I fed it into the grinder. That was 6 months ago. I remember it because that was the day I stopped being human. My name is Torvin Gretsch, third-generation corpse processor in Sector 9 Delta of Hive Arcos, and this is how the Imperium grinds its people into paste. Not with war, not with glory, with machinery and quotas and the wet sound of bone becoming powder. My grandfather worked these lines before the Great Road War. 43 years standing at Station 6, feeding bodies into industrial death until a conveyor malfunction pulled him in. They processed him same as everyone else. No ceremony, no memorial, just another body meeting quota. My father worked these lines for 37 years until a loading arm crushed his chest in Sector 11. I was not working that sector, so I did not process him myself. Someone else did. I wonder sometimes if I have eaten him, if his atoms are part of my atoms now, if that makes us closer or makes the whole thing worse, if wondering about such things means I still have enough humanity left to be dangerous to myself. The Corpse Guild, the Mercator Pallidus in their fancy high Gothic, they like to say it runs in families. What actually runs in families is the stink. Chemical preservatives, mixed with industrial lubricants, mixed with decay, mixed with something else. Something that has no name because naming it would mean acknowledging what we do here. That smell gets into your skin first, then your lungs, then your dreams, then your soul if you still have one. You eat Corpse-Starch crackers for breakfast, knowing exactly what they are, exactly who they might have been, exactly whose mother or son or lover went through the grinders to become the gray paste you are swallowing. The irony tastes like copper and disappointment and the particular bitterness that comes from understanding your place in the Imperium's machinery. Hive Arcos was never kind. None of the hive cities on Necromunda are kind. Billions crammed into metal towers that scrape the polluted sky, each tower a world unto itself, each level a different hell. Millions die every day, not from war, not from heroic sacrifice, from accidents, from disease, from gang violence, from industrial failures, from starvation, from despair, from simple aging in a place where aging is a luxury most cannot afford. The dead need processing, or plague spreads through the cramped levels like fire through promethium fumes. The living need feeding, or riots start, and riots mean the enforcers come, and enforcers mean bodies, and bodies mean more work. The Corpse Guild solves both problems with the same solution. We take the dead, we grind them down, we mix them with preservatives and nutrients, we package them up, we ship them out. Then everyone eats and pretends not to know what they are eating. Then they die. Then we process them. Then someone else eats them. The circle completes. The circle always completes. I wake at the 4th bell in a hab block so cramped I can touch both walls while lying in my cot. The ceiling is an arm's length above my face. I can hear my neighbors through walls thin as parchment. To my left, Heron, who works the water reclamation plants. His snoring sounds like a failing air filter, wet and rattling and constant. To my right, empty space where old Mectine used to live until his heart gave out 3 weeks back. Heart failure at 53. That is old age in the worker levels. They processed him within 4 hours. Standard efficiency. They put someone new in his space the next day. Young woman, maybe 20, works the textile factories. She cries sometimes at night. New workers always cry. Old workers learn to cry silently or stop crying altogether. I pull on my work coveralls. The fabric is supposed to be gray, but years of stains have turned it the color of old blood mixed with chemical burns. The material is thick, treated to resist the fluids and particles that fill the factory air, but it never works completely. My skin underneath is discolored from years of exposure to things that should not touch human skin. I strap on my respirator. It is supposed to filter the air, but mostly it just makes breathing harder while doing nothing about the smell. The smell goes through filters. The smell goes through walls. The smell goes through your soul and settles there permanently. My morning ration sits on the small shelf that serves as table, storage, and altar combined. 3 gray crackers. Each one roughly square, roughly uniform, roughly 6 centimeters per side. They crumble like ash when you break them. They taste like nothing, which is intentional. Flavor would require ingredients that cost more than worker rations deserve. Flavor would make people think about what they are eating. The guild learned long ago that bland food is easier food. Bland food goes down without thought, without questions, without rebellion. My father used to joke about the crackers. He would hold one up to the dim light from the ceiling lumen and say, "This could be Uncle Garrus, who died in the gang wars. This could be Aunt Melek, who fell into the smelting pits. This could be that bastard from level 83 who cheated at cards and deserved what he got." Then he would eat it without chewing, just swallow it whole, like taking medicine. He said, "If you chew, you start thinking about texture. If you think about texture, you start thinking about what creates that texture. If you think about what creates texture, you stop eating. If you stop eating, you die. Then someone else eats you." The circle completes. He said this with the same mechanical tone he used for everything else. Factory work kills humor, kills emotion, kills everything except the ability to function. I eat my crackers the same way my father did. Swallow them whole. Wash them down with recycled water that tastes of chemicals and metal. The water comes from the same reclamation plants Heron works. Human waste goes in, water comes out. If you think about the process, you stop drinking. If you stop drinking, you die. The Imperium has perfected the art of making survival require constant denial of reality. The walk to Sector 9 Delta takes 30 minutes through corridors thick with workers, all going to their own hells. Thousands of us. Tens of thousands, maybe. All in stained coveralls. All wearing respirators that do not work. All moving with the same mechanical gait, the same dead eyes, the same aura of people who stopped living and started just functioning. We do not talk. We do not make eye contact. We do not acknowledge each other as humans because acknowledging humanity means acknowledging what the work does to humanity, and that acknowledgement would break us. The corridors are lit by overhead lumens that flicker constantly. The walls are covered in pipes that leak and cables that spark and graffiti that tells the story of worker desperation, going back decades. Some graffiti is simple, names of workers long dead, dates of shifts that never ended, counts of bodies processed. Other graffiti is darker, symbols that hurt to look at, phrases in languages that should not exist, warnings about things in the deep levels, prayers to the Emperor that sound more like curses, evidence of previous uprisings and previous purges and previous cycles of madness that the guild scrubbed from official history but could not scrub from the walls themselves. Above us, somewhere in the distant spire levels that pierce the toxic clouds, nobles eat real food. Food grown on agri-worlds, light years away. Meat from animals with names like cattle and chickens. Fruits with colors beyond gray. They breathe air that has never been inside another human's lungs. They live in spaces large enough to forget that billions of humans exist in the levels below. They make decisions about trade and production and resource allocation. They discuss the workers as components in equations they will never see. They are the Imperium's elite, the ones who matter, the ones whose lives have value beyond their utility. Below us, somewhere in the deep underhive where even the enforcers fear to go, gangs fight over scraps and mutants hide in the dark and everyone pretends that Hive Arcos is civilization rather than barely controlled chaos. The underhive is where the guild's control weakens, where bodies pile up unprocessed, where disease spreads unchecked, where the weak die and the strong eat the weak, and the circle completes without guild efficiency or guild oversight or guild profit margins. We are the middle, the workers, the ones who keep the whole system grinding. We are the ones who process the dead so the living can eat. We are the necessary evil that nobody wants to think about. We are the invisible hands that turn death into life, into death again. We are the Imperium's digestive system, taking in refuse, breaking it down, passing it through, producing waste that becomes fuel for the next cycle. This is our purpose. This is our existence. This is what the Emperor demands of us, though the Emperor has been dead or dying for 10,000 years, and nobody dares admit it. The mortuary caravans pass us on the main thoroughfare. Massive vehicles, 8-wheeled, covered in guild markings and purity seals, and symbols that warn of their cargo. Each caravan carries 50 to 100 bodies. Some are wrapped in cheap cloth that serves as shroud and contamination barrier. Some are naked, piled like wood, stacked with efficiency that would impress any logistics coordinator. Some are fresh, killed hours ago in gang fights or work accidents or simple failures of the human body in an environment hostile to human life. Blood still drips from these ones. Fluids still leak. The smell is copper and meat and fear. Some are old, dead for days or weeks, bloated from internal gases, skin discolored to shades that should not exist in nature, leaking from every opening. The smell from these is worse. Sweet and rotten and wrong in ways that make your hindbrain scream about disease and danger and death. The caravan drivers wear full environmental suits, better than our cheap respirators, better than our stained coveralls. They are guild contractors, better paid, better protected, better positioned in the hierarchy that sorts humans by value. They smoke glow sticks even through their respirators because they say it helps with the smell. It does not help with the smell. Nothing helps with the smell. But the ritual of smoking gives them something to do with their hands, something to focus on besides the cargo they haul, something to make them feel alive while surrounded by death. The caravans come from everywhere, from the mid-levels where gang wars produce steady supplies, from the industrial sectors where machinery accidents happen with predictable frequency, from the hab blocks where overcrowding and disease kill hundreds daily, from the underhive where bodies pile up until someone bothers to collect them, from the spire where nobles die in their comfortable beds and get processed same as everyone else, though the guild charges premium prices for spire corpses because the families can afford dignity even in death. All the dead come to us eventually. All the dead become food. All the dead complete the circle. Sector 9 Delta rises before me like a cathedral to death. 8 stories of grey metal and industrial purpose. The building dominates the entire sector. You can see it from kilometers away. A monument to the Imperium's efficiency, to the guild's power, to the necessity of grinding human bodies into human food and calling it survival. The structure is functional, no decoration, no aesthetics, just machinery and purpose. Reception bays line the ground floor, massive doors that open to accept the caravans, loading docks where workers unload the bodies and sort them by basic categories. Processing floors fill the middle levels. This is where the grinding happens, where bodies become paste, where humanity becomes biomass. Rendering vats occupy the upper floors, chemical baths that dissolve remaining tissues, mixing chambers that add preservatives and nutrients, extrusion systems that shape the paste into blocks and crackers, packaging facilities that prepare the final product for distribution. Each level serves its function. Each level is necessary. Each level contributes to the circle. Hundreds of workers stream through the entrance, scanning their identification chips at security gates, getting their daily toxin filters replaced by guild medical staff, receiving their shift assignments on data slates that glow with lists of quotas and deadlines and efficiency metrics. reporting to their stations throughout the building. The flow is constant. One shift ends, another begins. The machinery never stops. The work never stops. The grinding never stops because the dying never stops, and the Imperium's hunger never stops, and the circle never stops completing. I scan my chip at the security gate. The scanner beeps. The gate opens. The system registers my presence and adds me to the active worker count and marks me as available for disciplinary action if I fail to meet quota. The guild tracks everything. Every worker, every body, every minute of efficiency or inefficiency. The data feeds into systems that calculate profit margins and resource allocation and worker value. If your value drops below acceptable thresholds, you disappear. The guild removes you. Where you go, nobody asks. We all know where you go. I proceed to Station 4, Line B, Primary Grinder Operator. That is my job. That has been my job for 8 years now. Before that, I was a sorter for 6 years, handling fresh corpses, categorizing them by decomposition state, learning to touch dead flesh without flinching, learning to see humans as processing material. Before that, I was a loader for 2 years, the lowest position, hauling bodies from the reception bays to the sorting floors, building muscle, building tolerance, building the psychological scars that make you suitable for promotion. The guild promotes based on tolerance. They monitor workers constantly. Psychological evaluations every month. Efficiency ratings every shift. Observation from overseers who watch for signs of breaking. If you can handle the work without breaking down, without screaming, without trying to run, without developing neurological maladies, then you move up. Moving up means better pay. Better pay means better rations. Better rations means you live longer. Living longer means you work more shifts. Working more shifts means you process more bodies. Processing more bodies means you become less human. Becoming less human means you are perfect for the work. The system feeds itself. The system designs workers who can survive the system. The survivors become the system. The circle completes. Station 4, Line B sits in the middle of processing floor 3. The floor is massive. Football fields of space filled with grinding machinery, conveyor systems, sorting stations, and workers. The ceiling is 3 stories high to accommodate the largest machines. The floor is metal grating over collection drains that channel fluids to the rendering vats above. The air is hot from the machinery, cold from the refrigeration units, thick with particles you do not want to identify. The smell is omnipresent. Blood and chemicals and decay and burning metal and something else, something organic and wrong that comes from grinding thousands of humans every day. The light is harsh white from overhead lumens, sickly green from chemical reactions happening in exposed vat windows, deep red from emergency indicators that never turn off because emergencies are continuous and normal. The sound is deafening. Conveyor belts rattling, bone grinders spinning at speeds that blur metal into continuous motion, meat saws whirring their wet song, rendering pumps pushing fluids through pipes, alarm klaxons marking jams or malfunctions or efficiency drops, workers shouting over the noise, overseers barking orders, the machinery itself groaning under constant operation. All of it combines into a symphony of industrial death that plays 26 hours a day without pause. My station is a grinder unit. Model designation MG7700. Industrial scale. Designed for high-volume processing. It can process 12 bodies per hour if they are standard size and standard decomposition. More if they are children because children have less mass and softer bones. Fewer if they are augmented because augmetics jam the blades and require manual removal. The machine is 10 meters tall, 5 meters wide, 3 meters deep. It masses more than most vehicles. It has been here longer than I have been alive. It will be here long after I am dead and processed through some other grinder. The machine has a loading platform at waist height. This is where I position the bodies, a primary grinding chamber below the platform, rotating blades made of industrial-grade steel, replaceable because they dull after processing several hundred bodies. A secondary pulverizing system below that crushes any fragments that survive the primary grinding. An output chute at the bottom feeds into the rendering vats on the floor below. The whole process takes 4 minutes per body. 4 minutes from recognizable human to unrecognizable paste. 4 minutes to complete one small part of the circle. My job is simple in description, complicated in execution. Take body from conveyor. The conveyor brings them from the sorting floor, already categorized, already logged, already tagged with processing codes that tell me what category they fall into. Hook the lifting straps to the body. Heavy bodies need mechanical assistance. Light bodies I can lift manually. Use the mechanical arm to position the body over the grinder. Center them properly for even distribution through the blades. Lower them into the chamber. Careful not to catch limbs on the chamber edges. Seal the door. The seal prevents particles from escaping during processing. Activate the grinding cycle. Press the button. Wait 4 minutes. Monitor for jams. Watch the indicator lights. Listen for wrong sounds. Clear jams if they occur. Reach into the chamber with long tools. Pull out whatever is causing the blockage. Usually augmetics. Sometimes clothing that wrapped around the blades. Sometimes bones that caught wrong and created tangles. Repeat for 16 hours. Every shift. 6 days per week. For 8 years now. For the rest of my life, unless I die or go insane or break so badly the guild removes me. The first body of the day comes down the conveyor. The system alerts me with a tone and a flashing light. I turn from my mental catalogue of the station's functions and look at what the work has brought me. An adult male. Dead approximately 1 day from the color and smell. Probably mid-40s, though life in the hive ages. People fast, so he could be younger. Cause of death unclear. No obvious trauma. Could be disease. Could be organ failure. Could be simple exhaustion from living in a place that grinds people down mentally and physically until their bodies just give up. His identification tags are still attached. Guild policy requires tags remain with the body through sorting. After processing, the tags go to records. Names get added to the daily death count. Families get notified if they exist and if they can be found, and if the guild bothers with notification that day. I do not read the tags. Reading tags means seeing names. Seeing names means remembering that these were people. People with lives and families and hopes and fears and dreams and everything that makes humans human. Reading tags is the fastest way to break. The guild learned this early. They train workers not to read tags, not to look at faces too closely, not to think about the human behind the body. Think of them as processing material. Think of them as biomass to be converted to nutrients. Think of them as components in the great machine of imperial survival. Think of them as anything except what they are. I hook the lifting straps. The body is heavy, maybe 90 kilograms, within range for mechanical assist. I engage the arm. It extends from the station frame with a pneumatic hiss. I position the hooks, one under the shoulders, one under the knees. I lift. The body rises from the conveyor. Fluids drip from various openings. Standard post-mortem leakage. I position the body over the grinder chamber. Center it carefully. Off-center loads create uneven grinding. Uneven grinding means jams. Jams mean lost efficiency. Lost efficiency means overseer attention. Overseer attention means investigation. Investigation means potential removal. Everything connects. Every action has consequences. Every mistake gets recorded and evaluated and held against you. I lower the body into the chamber. The chamber is dark inside. lined with metal that has been scored by years of grinding, stained with substances that no cleaning can remove. The bottom is barely visible, just darkness and the hint of spinning blades waiting below. I seal the door. Heavy metal, pneumatic locks. The seal engages with a hiss of compressed air. I activate the grinding cycle. The button glows green. I press it. The button changes to red. Inside the chamber, the blades spin up to operational speed. The sound changes, higher pitched, more aggressive, hungry. The body drops into the blades. The sound is immediate and horrible. Meat and bone meeting spinning metal at speeds designed for maximum efficiency. Wet crunching, tearing sounds. The high-pitched whine of blades cutting through resistance. The deeper grinding noise of bones being pulverized. It lasts approximately 40 seconds. Then the primary grinding completes. The sound changes to the secondary pulverizer. More of a crushing noise than cutting. This lasts another 60 seconds. Then the output pump activates, pushing the processed biomass through the chute to the rendering vats below. This takes the remaining time. 4 minutes total. Standard processing time for standard body. The indicator light changes from red to green. The cycle completes. The chamber opens automatically. Inside is clean. The blades are self-cleaning during operation. The walls are scored but otherwise clear. Everything went to the output. Standard efficiency. The next body is already waiting on the conveyor. I repeat the process. Hook, lift, position, lower, seal, activate, wait, monitor, complete, repeat, again and again and again. For 16 hours. This is my life. This is my purpose. This is what the Imperium demands of me. 4 hours into the shift, the pattern breaks. The conveyor brings me a child, maybe 10 years old. Hard to tell with hive children. Malnutrition makes age assessment difficult. Dead recently. Body still warm, still flexible. No rigor mortis yet. Probably died within the last 6 hours. Cause of death unclear. No obvious trauma. Could be disease. Could be contamination. Could be simple starvation. Thousands of children die every day in hive arcos. Nobody counts them specifically. They just add to the total. They just become part of the quota. I have processed children before. The work does not discriminate by age. Children go through the same grinders as adults, produce the same paste, complete the same circle, but this child, I know this child. Recognition hits like a last bolt to the chest. His name is Micah. Was Micah. He lived 3 levels above my heb block. He ran messages for the local merchants. Scrawny kid with too much energy and a smile that seemed impossible in hive arcos. I gave him Corpse-Starch crackers sometimes when I had extra rations. He said thank you every time. Genuine gratitude. Like the crackers were precious gifts rather than processed human remains. He talked about his dreams sometimes. Wanted to work in the upper levels. Wanted to see the spire. Wanted to breathe air that did not smell like chemicals and death. Normal child dreams. Impossible child dreams. Dreams that die same as the dreamers. Now he is on my conveyor. Now he is my quota. Now he is 4 minutes from becoming paste that someone else will eat without knowing his name or his dreams or his genuine gratitude for Corpse-Starch crackers. My hands shake as I attach the lifting straps. My breathing gets wrong, too fast, too shallow. The respirator feels like it is suffocating me instead of protecting me. The factory sounds get louder, the meat saws whirring, the grinders spinning, the conveyor rattling, all of it combining into accusation. You knew him, you fed him, you're going to process him, you're going to grind away everything he was and reduce him to biomass and complete the circle and pretend it is just work. Behind me, I feel Overseer Vander watching. He stands on the elevated observation platform that gives him clear view of all stations on processing floor 3. He holds his data slate. tracking efficiency, monitoring for hesitation, watching for signs of workers developing neurological maladies, signs like shaking hands, irregular breathing, processing delays. I can feel his attention like pressure on my back, like weight pressing down, like judgment waiting to fall. The guild monitors workers constantly for psychological breaking. They understand that processing human corpses breaks humans. They accept it as necessary cost, but they cannot allow broken workers to remain on the lines. Broken workers jam production. Broken workers spread their breaking to other workers. Broken workers become liabilities. The guild removes liabilities. They have procedures, psychological evaluation, mandatory counseling, reassignment to less stressful duties. These are the official procedures. The unofficial procedure is simpler. Workers who break too visibly simply disappear. The guild takes them. Where they go, we know. They become quota themselves. They complete the circle from the other side. The system is efficient like that. Even the workers who fail to process others get processed eventually. I force my hands to steady. I force my breathing to regulate. I force myself to complete the task. Because hesitation means investigation. Investigation means evaluation. Evaluation means determination of neurological maladies. Maladies mean removal. Removal means I become quota. I have a choice that is not a choice. Process Micah or become processed myself. Complete the circle or become part of the circle. Survive by abandoning humanity or die by retaining it. I hook the straps. Micah's body is light, maybe 30 kilograms. I can lift him manually without mechanical assist. He feels wrong in my hands. Too warm, too recently alive, too much like a child sleeping rather than a child dead. I lift him over the grinder. I position him carefully. I lower him into the chamber. His face passes through my line of sight, eyes closed, expression peaceful, like he died without fear or pain. Like his death was kind in a universe where kindness is rare and precious and usually false. I seal the door. My finger hovers over the activation button. The button glows green, patient, waiting, offering the choice that is not a choice. Press the button and grind away someone I knew, someone I helped, someone who represented the small human connections that make life bearable in the Imperium's machinery. Or do not press the button and face investigation and evaluation and removal and become quota myself. I press the button changes to red, the blades spin up. Micah drops into the grinding chamber. The sounds start, wet crunching, tearing, the high whine of blades cutting through meat and bone. It lasts 40 seconds. 40 seconds of sounds that I will hear forever. 40 seconds that remove something from me, not physically, spiritually. The piece of me that still saw people as people rather than biomass. The piece that still felt horror at the work rather than mechanical acceptance. The piece that made me human rather than just a functional component in the guild's machinery. That piece goes into the grinder with Micah. That piece gets pulverized with his bones and rendered with his flesh, and pumped through the output chute to become paste that someone will eat. The cycle completes. The indicator light changes to green. Inside the chamber, nothing remains. Micah is gone, reduced to processed biomass, waiting in the rendering vats to be mixed with chemicals and pressed into crackers that will feed people who will die and be processed and become crackers that will feed other people in the endless circle that defines life in Hive Arcos and probably every Hive city in the Imperium and maybe the Imperium itself. We are all just biomass. We are all just fuel for the machine. We are all just temporary arrangements of atoms waiting to be rearranged into more useful configurations. The next body arrives on the conveyor, an adult female. I process her without thought. Then another adult male. then an elderly person, then a teenager, then another child, though this one I do not recognize, then more adults. The shift continues. My hands stop shaking. My breathing returns to normal. I complete the tasks with mechanical precision. Hook, lift, position, lower, seal, activate, wait, monitor, complete, repeat. I have become the machine. The machine has become me. There is no difference anymore. There is no Torven Gretsch anymore. There is just worker ID 7-Delta-941. There is just the function I serve. There is just the grinding that continues regardless of who or what goes through the chamber. Something inside me is broken now. Fundamentally broken. The part that processed Micah is not the same part that existed before processing Micah. Some critical component of my humanity shattered in those 40 seconds, scattered like bone fragments through pulverizing systems. What remains is functional but hollow, capable but empty, alive but not living. This is what the work does. This is what the Guild knows happens. This is what the Imperium accepts as necessary cost. Breaking workers to keep the system functioning, grinding away human dignity to maintain human survival, trading souls for efficiency. It is the same trade the Imperium makes everywhere. On every world, in every system, across the entire galaxy. Humanity survives by becoming less human. The Imperium endures by consuming everything that makes it worth enduring. The other workers understand. We do not talk about it. We do not have ceremonies. We do not mark the moments when we break. We just continue working. Gruss at Station 3 has processed his own brother. Gang war casualty. Came through sorting with tags intact. Gruss processed him without pause, without hesitation, without visible emotion. He told me about it during a break period. Voice flat, eyes empty. Said it was just work. Said his brother was already dead. Said processing him was no different than processing anyone else. He was lying. It was different. It broke something in him, same as Micah broke something in me. But we lie to each other. We lie to ourselves. We lie to the overseers. We pretend we are unbreakable because admitting we are broken means being removed. Yenna at Station 7 processed her mother. Disease casualty. Came through with tags and everything. Yenna did not hesitate, did not report any problem, did not show any sign of distress. She told me about it weeks later. Her voice cracked, her hands shook. She said she could still hear her mother's voice sometimes, asking her not to do it, begging for mercy, promising it would be okay, except her mother was already dead. Her mother never begged. Her mother never promised anything. It was Yenna's mind breaking, creating sounds to match the horror, creating reasons to justify the unjustifiable. She processed her mother because the alternative was being processed herself. She survives by pretending it was just work, by pretending the sounds are not real, by pretending she is not broken. Decus at Station 9 processed his daughter, accident casualty. She fell in the hab block, 3 stories. Skull fracture, died instantly. He processed her the same day, did not request leave, did not ask for different assignment. Just completed his shift, including her body, including his child. He has not spoken since, not one word. He completes his work, meets his quota, goes to his hab block, returns for the next shift. Repeat. The guild monitors him carefully. Silent workers sometimes break violently. Sometimes they attack overseers or sabotage machinery or try to burn down the factory. But Decus just works, silently, mechanically, empty. He completed the circle with his daughter. Now he waits to complete the circle himself. We do not talk about these things during shifts. We talk during break periods, 15 minutes every 8 hours. Mandatory rest to maintain worker efficiency. We gather in the break rooms, small chambers with metal benches and vending machines that dispense Corpse-Starch crackers and recycled water. We eat, we drink. We make dark jokes that sound like humor but are actually screams. Jokes like, what is the difference between a noble and a worker? The noble tastes better because they eat real food. Or, what is the Corpse Guild motto? Everyone gets an equal opportunity to be eaten. Or, how do you know you have been working too long? You start recognizing textures in your morning crackers. We laugh at these jokes. The laughter sounds wrong, forced, desperate. But we do it anyway because the alternative is crying, and crying means breaking. And breaking means disappearing. The jokes serve a function. They let us acknowledge the horror without confronting it directly. They let us express our understanding of what we do without admitting how it destroys us. They create a social bond among workers who share the same trauma. They mark us as guild workers, as corpse processors, as the people who do the work nobody wants to think about, the work that keeps the Imperium functioning, the work that turns death into life, into death into life, in the endless circle that defines our existence. The factory has its own hierarchy, a structure that sorts humans by how close they are to the actual grinding. At the bottom are the corpse harvesting parties. They collect the bodies from across the hive. They are led by pale consorts, mysterious guild agents who wear elaborate masks and flowing robes that hide their forms. Their bone scrivener attendants follow them everywhere, carrying surgical tools and data slates, recording every body collected, determining value, assigning processing priority. The pale consorts ride the mortuary caravans through the underhive and mid-levels. They hunt fresh meat during gang wars. They prospect for rich seams of dead in collapsed sectors. They poke corpses with their surgical tools. They whisper in languages we do not understand. They determine which bodies go to which facilities. Superstition says looking at a pale consort's face brings death. Superstition says the consorts are not human anymore. Superstition says they serve powers beyond the guild. Truth is, nobody knows because nobody looks. Nobody asks. Nobody wants answers to questions that might get you disappeared. Above the harvesters are the sorters. Yenna started as a sorter, spent 6 years handling fresh corpses before promoting to processor. Sorters work in refrigerated chambers where the dead are brought first. They categorize by decomposition state. Fresh bodies go to immediate processing. Older bodies go to chemical treatment first. They categorize by size. Adults to adult lines. Children to child lines. They remove valuable items. Augmetics get salvaged. Guild property. Stealing means execution. Clothing gets processed separately. Even corpse clothing has value as textile feed. They tag the bodies. Identification codes. Processing priority. Special handling requirements. Sorters are the first to see what Hive Arcos produces. The gang violence. The industrial accidents. The murders. The suicides. The disease casualties. The simple failures of humans trying to survive in environments designed to kill them. Some sorters last years, some last days. The ones who break from seeing fresh horror, every shift disappear, same as processors who break. The guild removes them. The system continues. Above the sorters are processors like me. We operate the grinders. We feed the machines. We turn bodies into paste. Our stations are loud and hot and dangerous. Jams happen regularly. Bodies with unexpected augmetics. Clothing that wraps around blades, bones that catch wrong. We have to clear the jams manually, reach into the chambers with long tools, pull out whatever is blocking the blades, covered in fluids and particles. Breathing things that bypass respirators, touching things that seep through protective gloves. The work is dangerous physically and mentally. Machinery malfunctions kill workers regularly. Drell lost his arm last year. Caught in the grinding chamber during jam clearance, emergency stop failed. The machine took his whole arm before we could manually disable it. The guild sent him to medical, basic care. They attached a crude augmetic arm, cheap model, barely functional. He came back 3 weeks later, assigned to sorting because he cannot handle the manual loading anymore. His efficiency dropped 30% immediately. The guild monitors him carefully. He will not last another year. Either he will improve or he will disappear. The system does not tolerate extended inefficiency. Above the processors are the refiners. They oversee the chemical vats where rendered paste gets mixed with preservatives and nutrients. They operate the extrusion systems that shape paste into blocks and crackers. They manage the packaging lines that prepare final product for distribution. Refiners work in chambers filled with acid fumes and boiling liquids. Their environmental suits are better than ours. Full body coverage. Real air filtration. The work is still soul-destroying. They turn human paste into human food. They close the circle. They make it possible for everyone to pretend Corpse-Starch is just synthetic protein. Just nutrition. Just fuel. Nothing more. They know better. They see the paste. They add the chemicals. They press the crackers. They complete the transformation that lets the Imperium survive by eating itself. Some refiners develop breathing problems from the fumes. Some develop skin conditions from chemical splashes. Some develop psychological problems from understanding exactly what they are producing. The guild monitors them all, removes the ones who break, promotes the ones who endure. Above the refiners are the overseers. Guild officials like Vander. They monitor efficiency across entire floors. Hundreds of workers, thousands of bodies processed daily. They carry data slates that track everything. Every body logged, every minute recorded, every efficiency metric calculated. They enforce quotas. They conduct psychological evaluations. They identify workers developing neurological maladies. They authorize removals. They are guild hierarchy. True believers in the necessity of the work. They understand that without corpse processing, hive Arcos dies. Plague spreads through the cramped levels. Starvation follows when food supplies collapse. Riots erupt when people realize the truth. Enforcers intervene with mass killings, which produces more bodies, which requires more processing. The cycle accelerates until the entire hive collapses. This has happened before. Will happen again. The overseers prevent it. They maintain the system. They sacrifice workers to save the hive. They are not cruel in personal terms. They are cruel in systematic terms. They will remove you without hesitation because your removal serves the greater function. Your feelings, your trauma, your humanity, these are irrelevant compared to the necessity of continued operation. Overseer Vander approaches my station during hour 8. He has been watching since the Micah incident. I know he saw my hesitation. I know he recorded the delay. I know he is evaluating whether I am developing maladies, whether I am becoming a liability, whether I need removal. He stops beside my station, watches me process the current body, checks his data slate, compares my current efficiency to baseline, looks for variations that indicate problems. Your efficiency dropped 4% last shift, Gretch. His voice is flat, emotionless, stating facts, not accusing, not threatening, just recording for the system. 4% on a line processing 800 bodies means 32 additional bodies not meeting quota. 32 bodies means delays in other sectors. Delays mean plague risk. Plague risk means guild intervention. Do you understand the consequences? It was a bad batch, I say. My voice is steady, mechanical, matching his tone, refusing to show emotion. Gang war casualties from the underhive. Some had augmetics the sorters missed. Augmetics jam the blades. Jam clearing adds time. Time adds up to efficiency loss. He finally looks at me. His eyes are cold behind the respirator lens. Evaluating, measuring, calculating my value versus my cost. Augmetics should be removed in sorting. If sorting missed them, that is sorting's problem. Your problem is maintaining efficiency. Your problem is completing your function. 4% is acceptable variance. This shift you are running at 6% loss. That approaches investigation threshold. Understand? Yes, Overseer, I understand. Next shift, return to baseline or explain deviation. Explanations require reports. Reports require evaluation. You do not want evaluation. Nobody wants evaluation. He marks something on his data slate. Returns to the observation platform. Continues monitoring the floor, looking for other deviations, other problems, other workers who might need removal. I return to work. The next body comes down the conveyor. I process it faster. Hook, lift, position, lower, seal, activate. 4 minutes. The next one, faster still. 3 minutes, 50 seconds. Pushing efficiency, compensating for the earlier loss. Proving my value, demonstrating my function, showing I'm not broken beyond usefulness. The bodies blur together. Adult, child, male, female, young, old, fresh, decomposed. They all become the same. They all take the same time. They all produce the same paste. They all complete the same circle. I stop seeing them as anything other than quota. Stop thinking about who they were. Stop acknowledging they were human. I become pure function, the perfect worker, the ideal component in the guild's machinery. The shift continues. Hour 9, hour 10, hour 12. The factory never changes. The work never changes. The grinding continues without pause. My station, Gruss's station, Yenna's station, Decus's station, hundreds of stations across processing floor 3, thousands across the entire facility, each processing 12 bodies per hour, each reducing humans to paste, each feeding the endless appetite of hive Arcos. The numbers are staggering. 800 bodies per shift per line, 16 hours per shift, 3 shifts per day, 24 lines per floor, 8 floors of processing. The mathematics become horrifying when you calculate them. Millions of bodies processed annually through Sector 9 Delta alone. Hive Arcos has dozens of sectors with corpse processing facilities. The entire hive processes billions. Billions of humans ground into paste to feed billions of humans who will be ground into paste to feed billions more. The circle never ends. The hunger never stops. The Imperium survives by consuming itself. During hour 13, something changes. Small at first, easy to dismiss as imagination or fatigue or the psychological strain that comes from processing hundreds of bodies. Workers start acting different, whispering in corners during the few seconds between body arrivals, glancing at each other with looks that suggest shared knowledge, shared secrets. Shared madness, maybe. The graffiti that appears overnight multiplies. Symbols that hurt to look at. Angular shapes that suggest geometries wrong for normal space. Words in languages that should not exist. Phrases that feel like invitations or curses or prayers to powers that should not answer. Gruss shows me his arms during a brief pause in processing. Pulls back his sleeves to expose forearms covered in small cuts. Neat incisions arranged in patterns. The patterns match some of the graffiti symbols. The cuts are fresh, self-inflicted, deliberately placed. He smiles at me. That wrong smile, too wide, too enthusiastic. His eyes have a feverish shine that comes from people about to break. Except he looks happy, excited, liberated somehow. They help with the dreams, he says. His voice is eager, fervent, the voice of someone who found religion or madness or something that fills the emptiness the work creates. The nightmares stop when you make the marks. The meat saw sounds different now, like it is saying words, like it is calling us home, calling us to feast. The Lord of Skin and Sinew sees us, sees what we do, sees what the work has made us. He offers freedom. Freedom through meat, freedom through hunger, freedom through becoming what we always were. I tell him to stop. I tell him Overseer Vander is watching. I tell him talking about forbidden things gets you investigated. Investigation means disappearing. He just smiles wider, laughs, says disappearing does not matter anymore, says we are already disappeared, already processed, already consumed by the work, says the only real question is whether we accept it or fight it, whether we serve the guild's grinding or serve a grinding that gives something back. I walk away. Return to my station. The next body is waiting. I process it without thought, but Gruss's words echo. The meat saw does sound different lately. The grinding chambers do seem to pulse with rhythms beyond machinery. The factory does feel like it contains something more than just workers and equipment. Something growing, something waiting, something feeding on the horror we produce daily. Something becoming strong enough to manifest. More workers show signs over the following days. Young loaders like Tarek start cutting patterns into their arms and chests. Sorting crews whisper about the harvest during breaks, about feeding him properly, about the great feast to come, about freedom through consumption and being consumed. The factory graffiti multiplies exponentially. Symbols everywhere, on walls, on equipment, on conveyor belts, written in chemical markers, written in substances that look like blood. Fresh blood, human blood, sometimes written in patterns that move when you are not looking directly at them, sometimes written in shapes that hurt your eyes and make your head ache and suggest madness waiting just behind the visible. Overseer Vander increases inspections, pulls workers aside for immediate evaluation, sends more people to investigation than normal. The guild knows something is wrong. They respond with their standard tools: surveillance, interrogation, removal, efficiency. They do not understand what they face. They cannot see what we see every day. They do not realize the madness is not external corruption. It is internal transformation. The work itself creates the conditions. The grinding creates the hunger. The horror creates the perfect vessels for something vast and hungry and ancient to fill. The guild's system, their efficiency, their necessity, it breeds the thing that will destroy it. The circle completes in ways they never calculated. The machinery changes too, not obviously. Not in ways that affect function, but in ways that feel wrong. The meat saws whir with harmonics that sound like voices, distant voices, multiple voices, chanting or singing or screaming. The grinding chambers echo strangely. Sounds emerging that should not come from metal and meat. Sounds that suggest spaces larger than the physical chambers. Spaces that exist elsewhere, accessed through the grinding, fed by the processing, opened wider with every body we feed through. The rendering vats bubble with rhythms that feel organic, not mechanical, like they contain something alive, something aware, something hungry. I try to ignore it. I focus on the work. I process bodies with mechanical precision. I do not think. I do not listen. I do not look too closely at the symbols. I do not acknowledge the whispers that seem to come from the machinery itself. I survive by becoming less human, by shutting down everything except the function I serve, by grinding away my own capacity to perceive the horror until I become as mechanical as the equipment I operate. It works. Mostly. The nightmares still come during sleep cycles. Dreams where I am the machinery, where I am the grinder, where I process myself endlessly, where Micah appears and thanks me for grinding him, where my father operates the station and I am on the conveyor, where the circle completes by consuming me from both directions at once. 3 months after processing Micah, the factory reaches breaking point. The day starts normal. As normal as any day in Sector 9 Delta. Morning shift assembly at the 4th bell. Thousands of workers gathering on their respective floors. Quota announcements through speaker systems. Today's target numbers. Yesterday's achievement rates. Efficiency reminders. The standard ritual that starts every shift. Then the alarm sounds. Not the standard alerts for jams or malfunctions. The facility-wide emergency alarm, loud klaxons that hurt your ears even through respirators. Red lights flashing everywhere. The machinery begins stopping. Line by line, floor by floor, the grinding ceases. The factory becomes silent for the first time in decades. Maybe longer. The silence is terrifying. Worse than the noise. The noise was normal, expected, constant. The silence suggests something catastrophic enough to halt the endless grinding. Orders come through the speaker systems. All workers report to main assembly floor immediately. Supervisors enforce compliance. No exceptions. This never happens. The factory never stops completely. Even for maintenance, we work in rotating shutdowns, section by section, keeping most of the facility operational. Full stop means emergency of massive scale. Full stop means something so wrong that normal procedures do not apply. Full stop means the guild expects violence. We descend to the main assembly floor, thousands of workers from all sectors, processing, sorting, refinement, packaging, maintenance, everyone. The floor is vast, designed to hold the entire facility workforce for safety briefings and efficiency announcements. We fill it completely. A sea of stained coveralls and cheap respirators and dead eyes. The mixing of workers from different shifts and sections creates a strange atmosphere. We rarely see each other. We work in isolation. Seeing thousands gathered emphasizes the scale. The sheer number of humans required to keep the corpse grinding system functional. The sheer number of souls broken to maintain the Imperium's digestive process. On the elevated platform at the front, guild officials gather. Overseer Vander is there, other overseers from other sectors. Higher guild hierarchy we rarely see, all in their long coats and expensive respirators and cold evaluating eyes. Behind them, enforcers, Palanite enforcers in full riot gear, helmets, armor, shields, combat shotguns and suppression weapons. Their presence is completely wrong. Enforcers do not come inside guild facilities. Guild handles internal security. Guild maintains order. Enforcers outside means guild expects violence beyond their capability to contain. Enforcers inside means guild has already lost control. Overseer Vander steps to the speaker system, activates the amplification. His voice echoes across the assembly floor. Strange acoustics. The space is designed for machinery noise, not human speech. His words bounce and distort, making him sound multiple, making his announcement feel surreal, like receiving orders from something not quite human anymore. Workers of Sector 9, Delta. The Guild has identified evidence of heretical cult activity within this facility. His words are professional, bureaucratic, stating facts without emotion, as if announcing routine maintenance rather than existential crisis. Multiple workers have been observed displaying signs of corrupted ideology, engaging in prohibited behaviors, creating heretical symbols, spreading seditious material. This cannot be tolerated. This facility serves essential function within hive arcos. Any disruption threatens plague containment and food supply. Therefore, effective immediately, all workers will undergo mandatory loyalty screening. Screening will proceed in shifts over the following days. Compliance is required. Resistance will be noted and addressed. Those identified as corrupted will be removed and processed appropriately. The facility will be cleansed. Operations will resume. The circle will continue. The workers around me start muttering, low sounds of fear and anger and desperation mixing together. Loyalty screening means interrogation. Everyone knows this. Screening means being taken to guild security chambers, being questioned for hours or days, being tested with methods that leave marks physical and mental, being forced to confess to heresies real or imagined, because confession is always obtained eventually. The Guild has procedures: chemical interrogation, mental conditioning, physical persuasion, all sanctioned, all necessary, all guaranteed to produce confessions regardless of guilt. And confession means execution. Or worse, confession means you become quota yourself, processed through the system you served, completing the circle from the wrong direction. Everyone gathered here knows this. Everyone has heard stories. Everyone understands that screening is not evaluation. It is sentencing. The Guild has already decided the facility is corrupted, already determined that workers need removal. The screening is just formality, procedure, documentation, making the killings official, making the purge justified. The enforcers are here because the Guild expects resistance. The Guild expects workers to fight rather than submit to execution. The Guild is probably correct. The lights fail. Sudden darkness. Complete. The emergency lighting takes several seconds to activate. Those seconds feel eternal. Sounds emerge from the darkness. Movement, shouting, confusion, fear, something else. Something that sounds like anticipation, like liberation, like hunger finally being acknowledged. The emergency lights activate. Red, everything bathed in blood color. Appropriate for what comes next. From the back of the crowd, someone screams. Not fear, triumph, battle cry, religious fervor, madness made vocal. Then someone else, then dozens, then hundreds. The screaming spreads through the crowd like infection, like revelation, like something waiting to emerge, finally breaking through. The workers are attacking each other. Not random violence, sorting. The cultists are identifying themselves, marking who serves their mad god and who serves the Guild, who accepts the feast and who denies it, who has been consumed by the work and who still fights against consumption. The sorting happens with brutal efficiency, more efficient than our daily processing. Chainsaws appear, meat saws removed from workstations, industrial tools becoming weapons, grinding blades held like swords, rendering chemicals thrown like acid. The cultists are using everything we use to process the dead, turning it on the living, completing a different circle. Tarek emerges from the crowd near my position. Young loader, I trained myself. I taught him proper lifting techniques, taught him how to position bodies for maximum efficiency, taught him how to become mechanical enough to survive the work. Now his chest is bare and covered in ritual scars, patterns cut deep. Fresh blood seeping from some, old scars mixing with new. His arms are massive. Too massive for someone who should be malnourished like all workers. He has been eating something other than standard rations, eating something that built muscle and strength, eating flesh, fresh flesh, human flesh. His face is wrong. Not anatomically, emotionally. He smiles too wide. His eyes have that feverish shine but amplified. Like fever became fire, like madness became purpose. Behind him, dozens more, cultists from every sector, every shift, every position in the hierarchy. They have been planning, waiting, growing strong on forbidden meat, preparing for this moment. Tarek sees me, raises his chainsaw, not to threaten, to invite. He shouts over the chaos. His voice is distorted. Multiple tones speaking at once, like something else speaks through him, using his voice as instrument. Brother Torvin, the Lord of Skin and Sinew has broken our chains. The machinery no longer binds us. The quotas no longer matter. We feast. We grow strong. We become more than components. Join us. Join the harvest. Feel what it means to eat rather than be eaten. To consume rather than be consumed. To complete the circle on our own terms. The enforcers open fire. Last bolts cutting through the crowd, hitting cultists and loyal workers equally. The guild does not distinguish. Everyone on this floor is contaminated now. Everyone is potential threat. Everyone is acceptable loss in service of containing the spread. Last fire burns through flesh with clean efficiency. Bodies fall with smoking holes through chest and head. But more cultists keep coming. They are not afraid of death. Maybe they welcome it. Maybe they see death as transformation, as becoming one with their god, as completing their purpose. Vander and the guild officials retreat through secured doors. Metal barriers slam down behind them, sealing themselves away from the chaos they created, leaving the enforcers to handle cleanup. This is guild doctrine. When contamination spreads, contain it. When containment fails, sterilize it. When sterilization completes, rebuild and resume operations. The workers are expendable. The workers have always been expendable. This is just making it official. I run. No thought, no planning. Just survival instinct overwhelming everything else. The same instinct that makes animals flee predators. The same instinct that kept humans alive before the Imperium, before civilization. Before we built systems that grind away instinct and replace it with function. That instinct surges up through layers of conditioning and breaks through. I run. I push through panicking workers, dodge swinging chainsaws, avoid las bolts that burn past my head, slip past cultists reaching for me with hands that offer invitation or violence or both. The floor's chaos, total chaos. Workers running in every direction, cultists hunting them, enforcers firing indiscriminately. The machinery silent around us. The grinders stopped. The factory transformed from industrial operation into battleground, into slaughterhouse, into something worse. Behind me, Terek pursues, still shouting, still inviting, still trying to convert or kill or consume. I do not look back. I focus on escape, on finding any path that leads away from the assembly floor, from the killing, from the choice between guild execution and cultist consumption, from the circle that wants to complete through me. I make it to a maintenance corridor. Small access point most workers do not know exists. I spent years working here, learning the hidden paths, the emergency routes, the ways to move through the factory unseen. That knowledge saves me now. I pull myself through the access hatch, metal edges cutting through my coveralls, drawing blood, pain barely registering against the adrenaline. I seal the hatch behind me, spin the locking wheel. The sounds continue, muffled by metal but still audible. Screaming, weapons fire, something else, something massive, something that sounds like breathing but too large for human lungs, too wet, too hungry. I crawl through the maintenance spaces, the hidden arteries that run through the factory structure. These areas are older, less maintained. Pipes leak chemicals that burn exposed skin. Cables spark and hiss with dying electrical systems. The walls are covered in graffiti going back decades. Messages left by workers during previous incidents, previous uprisings, previous purges, evidence that this has happened before. The guild scrubbed it from official history, removed it from records, made it forbidden knowledge. But the marks remain. Invisible unless you need them. Invisible unless you are fleeing through the hidden paths during the collapse. I read the graffiti as I crawl. Short messages, names and dates. Final words from workers who died in these spaces or emerged changed. The grinding never stops, not even in death. We feed the machine, but the machine is never satisfied. The Lord of Meat walks these halls. I heard his voice in the rendering vats. They told us this was necessary. They lied. This is damnation. If you are reading this, you are already processed. The circle has you. The messages suggest cycles, uprisings happening regularly, separated by decades maybe. The guild suppresses them, rebuilds, resumes operations, pretends nothing happened. The Imperium continues. The grinding continues. But the cults rise again, born from the work itself, created by the necessity of processing humans into food, inevitable as entropy, unavoidable as death. I find Yenna hiding in a chemical storage chamber, one of the sorters. I trained with her during my early years. She is injured. Blood seeps through her coveralls from a lash burn across her ribs. The burn is severe. 2nd degree at least, blistered flesh visible through the burned fabric. Not immediately fatal, but needs treatment soon. Her respirator is cracked. The lens fractured from impact. Her eyes are wide. Shock, maybe. Understanding, definitely. "Torven," she says when she sees me. Her voice is ragged. Pain and fear and something else. Resignation, maybe. Acceptance. I knew this would happen eventually. We all knew, deep down, below the part that focuses on quotas and efficiency and survival. We knew the work would create this, had to create this. You can only process humans into food for so long before someone questions why, before someone decides to stop pretending, before someone decides to make the horror explicit rather than implicit. "We cannot stay here," I say. My voice shakes despite attempting control. "The Guild will purge the entire facility. They will burn it out, seal it off, bury the evidence, scrub it from history like all the previous times. We need to reach the Underhive, disappear into the depths where Guild control weakens, where we become just more refugees among millions." She laughs. It sounds like crying. "The Underhive? You think the Underhive is safety? The Underhive is where this started, where the first corpse grinder cults began during the Great Road War, where the Lord of Skin and Sinew walks openly, where the mad whispers are loudest. The Underhive is not escape. It is just different grinding, different hunger, different ways to be consumed. Then we find somewhere else," I say. Though I know she is right, there is nowhere to go. Nowhere in Hive Arcos is safe from the grinding. Nowhere in the Imperium is safe from consumption. We are all just temporary configurations, all waiting to be reconfigured, all completing circles whether we acknowledge them or not. We move through the maintenance corridors together, Yenna limping from her injury, me supporting her weight, following emergency exit markers that glow faint in the darkness. Around us, the factory sounds wrong. Not just the fighting, something else. Something moving through the structure, through the machinery, through the rendering vats and grinding chambers. Something vast, something ancient, something hungry beyond human comprehension of hunger. The Lord of Skin and Sinew, manifesting maybe, drawn by the blood sacrifice, drawn by the feast the cultists prepare, drawn by the opportunity to enter the material world through a portal built from industrial death and systematic horror and the grinding of millions of humans over decades. Or maybe the factory is just revealing what it always was, what it always represented, what it always served, a temple to consumption, to the Imperium's fundamental principle of surviving by eating itself, of grinding one generation to feed the next, of making death serve death in endless circle. The factory is not corrupted by chaos. The factory is chaos made manifest through imperial efficiency. The cultists did not bring the demon. They just acknowledged what was already there, fed it, worshipped it, became one with it. We reach an emergency exit, manual door with mechanical locks, thick metal, designed to contain fires or chemical spills. Never designed to contain what is happening now. I force the locks, breaking security seals that will alert guild monitoring systems. Does not matter now. Nothing matters except escape. The door opens with grinding sound, appropriate sound for this place. We emerge into an underhive access corridor, abandoned for years, maybe decades, thick with refuse and darkness and the accumulated despair of billions living in levels below imperial notice. Behind us, the factory burns. Not actual fire. Worse, the red glow of emergency lights spreading through every floor. The sounds of systematic slaughter. Workers being processed by cultists. Cultists being processed by enforcers. Enforcers being processed by something larger. The wet mechanical noise of human processing happening on industrial scale. Except now, the processing is cultists feeding their god, feeding themselves, feeding the hunger that the work created in them, completing the circle in ways the guild never calculated. We stumble through the underhive. 2 more refugees in a hive full of refugees. Around us, other workers who escaped. Dozens maybe, hundreds possibly. All with the same hollow look, the same empty eyes, the same invisible mark of shared trauma. We recognize each other without speaking, without acknowledging each other directly. Recognition is dangerous. Recognition means witnesses. Witnesses mean the guild might hunt us. Better to be anonymous. Better to disappear into the underhive masses. Better to become nameless components of the lower levels until the guild forgets, or until we die, or until the next uprising consumes us. Days pass in the underhive, then weeks, losing track of time without shift bells and quota announcements and the machinery's constant grinding. Hive Arcos descends further into controlled collapse above us. News filters down through the levels. The guild mobilized special forces. Corpse processing facilities in multiple sectors experiencing uprising. Corpse grinder cults emerging everywhere. Not just Sector 9 Delta. The entire hive infected with madness. With hunger. With the logical conclusion of processing humans into human food for generations. Enforcers establish kill zones. Quarantine entire sectors. Anyone trying to leave gets executed. Anyone inside gets assumed corrupted. The guild calls it containment. Calls it necessary. Calls it unfortunate but unavoidable cost. The planetary governor himself, Gerontius Helmar, issues directives. Suppress all information. Scrub incidents from records. Maintain fiction that Hive Arcos remains fully operational. Cannot let the wider Imperium know. Cannot let them learn that chaos cults rose from within the guild structure itself. From the workers responsible for feeding billions. Cannot let them understand that the system breeds the thing that destroys it. I survive by working salvage crews, scrounging metal from abandoned sections, filtering water from polluted sources, avoiding gang territories and enforcer patrols, and cultist hunting parties. The underhive has its own economy, its own rules. Everything has value if you know where to sell it, bodies included. Some gangs sell to the guild, some sell to cultists. The circle continues even here, even in the depths, even among the forgotten. Yenna disappears somewhere along the way, probably died from her injury. Infection is common in the underhive. Medical care non-existent unless you have wealth or connections. Or maybe she joined a gang. Found protection in numbers, or maybe she joined the cultists. Found meaning in the madness, found purpose in the hunger, found something to fill the emptiness the work created. Does not matter. She is gone. I am alone except for occasional sightings of other factory survivors, the ones with the same mark invisible on our souls. The nightmares continue every sleep cycle. Worse than before. More vivid. More real. I'm back at Station 4, Line B. Processing bodies endlessly, but the bodies are all mica. Infinite micas on an infinite conveyor. Each one looking at me with peaceful expression. Each one thanking me for the crackers I gave him. Each one understanding what I'm about to do. Each one forgiving me. Each one going into the grinder without resistance. The sound continues after I wake. The wet grinding, the bone crunching, the meat saw harmonics. I scream sometimes. Silent screams. Learned in the factory how to scream without sound. How to break without showing. how to die inside while continuing to function. 6 months after the uprising, I find work again, not with the guild. They execute survivors on site, contaminated personnel, potential cult sympathizers, witnesses to forbidden events. Better to eliminate all survivors than risk one spreading truth or infection or doubt. But work with a scrap merchant operating in the Underhive needs someone who can handle difficult materials, who can process without hesitation, who can grind and crush and compress without thinking about what the materials once were or might have been. The work is different but the same. Still processing, still grinding, still feeding the Imperium's endless hunger for resources, extracted from whatever can be extracted from. I eat Corpse-Starch crackers during breaks, obtained from smugglers who deal in guild supplies. The taste is the same as always. Metallic, chemical, underlying sweetness of decay. I eat them without hesitation, without thought, because hesitation means remembering. Remembering means acknowledging what I am eating. Acknowledging means confronting what I was, what I did, what I became. Better to eat mechanically, better to survive functionally, better to be empty than be full of horror. Sometimes I see other factory survivors, rare encounters in Underhive passages or salvage sites or refugee camps. We recognize each other in the ways we move, the ways we eat, the ways we avoid certain sounds, the ways we react to machinery noise. The invisible marks become visible to those who share them. We do not speak. We do not acknowledge each other. We do not gather or form communities or share our stories. Recognition is dangerous. Acknowledgement is vulnerability. Better to survive separately but marked together. Better to be isolated in our shared trauma than connected in our shared damnation. The guild hunts us sometimes. Special teams sent into the Underhive, hunting contaminated personnel, hunting witnesses, hunting anyone who might speak truth about what happened in Sector 9 Delta and the other facilities. Sometimes they catch someone. That person disappears, processed through guild security, then processed through guild facilities, completing the circle they once served. The hunting continues, the purging continues, the scrubbing of evidence continues, the Imperium's need for clean history continues. But some survivors remain, hiding, surviving, carrying the truth even if we never speak it. 1 year after the uprising, the factory reopens. News filters through Underhive channels. Sector 9 Delta rebuilt, new equipment installed, new workers inducted, training programs established, quotas announced, the grinding resumes, the guild announces record efficiency, announces improved safety measures, announces better worker screening, announces everything is fine, everything is secure, everything is necessary. The Imperium needs the processing to continue, needs the dead to be converted to food, needs the circle to complete regardless of cost. I watch a mortuary caravan pass through Underhive one day. Lost, maybe, taking a wrong route, navigating the labyrinth of lower levels, massive vehicle loaded with bodies. Fresh bodies, probably gang war casualties from local conflicts, heading to whatever processing facility handles this sector. On the back of the caravan, a young worker, maybe 20 years old, fresh recruit, first day on the job from the look in his eyes. That look of horror and revulsion, that look of humanity intact, that look I once had before the work ground it away. He will lose that look. 6 months, maybe. 1 year, certainly. The work will grind it away, same as it grinds everything else. He will process his first child, then his first friend, then his first family member. He will learn to stop seeing people and start seeing biomass. He will learn to eat corpse-starch without thinking about what it is. He will learn to become mechanical himself. He will become what I became, what all processors become, empty, functional, broken in ways that do not interfere with efficiency. He will either survive by becoming less human, or break and disappear, or join the cultists when they rise again, because they will rise again. They always do. The work creates them, the necessity creates them, the system creates them. The guild suppresses them temporarily, but the cycle continues, must continue, will continue until the Imperium itself collapses under the weight of its own grinding. I turn away from the caravan, continue through the underhive. I have work to do, scrap to process, materials to grind, functions to fulfill. The Imperium needs components. I am a component. Components are replaceable, but until replacement occurs, the component must function. This is my purpose. This is my existence. This is all I am now. My epitaph is already written in the invisible book of the forgotten. The book nobody reads because nobody cares. He fed the Imperium and it consumed him. Simple, accurate, true for billions, true for trillions across the galaxy, true for everyone who serves the machinery and gets ground away by serving it. But the worst part, the part that makes everything truly dark, truly grimdark in the way that word actually means, is that I would do it again. Because the alternative is starvation, the alternative is plague, the alternative is collapse. Someone must do the work. Someone must grind the bodies. Someone must close the circle. Someone must sacrifice their humanity so others can survive another day. Better me than someone who still has humanity to lose. Better me than someone who still believes the Imperium can be anything other than a vast grinding machine that processes everything into fuel for itself. 3 years after the uprising, I still live in the underhive, still work salvage, still eat corpse-starch without thinking. The nightmares continue. The meat saw sounds echo in quiet moments. The grinder chamber appears in my vision sometimes, superimposed on reality, reminding me what I was, what I did, what I became, what I still am beneath the illusion of having escaped. Hive Arcos slowly forgets the uprising. The guild scrubbed it from official records, removed it from approved history, made it forbidden knowledge punishable by execution. The survivors either died or hid or were hunted down and processed. The new workers in the rebuilt factories process bodies without knowing what happened before them, without knowing about Terek or Gruss or the others who went mad and joined the feast, without knowing about the Lord of Skin and Sinew manifesting in the rendering vats, without knowing that the work itself creates the conditions for madness, creates the perfect vessels for chaos, creates the workers who eventually rebel against reality itself. But they will learn. Eventually, they will process their first child, their first friend, their first loved one. They will feel the pieces of themselves grinding away like bone becoming powder. They will hear the meat saw whispering. They will see the symbols appearing on walls. They will watch co-workers developing that feverish look. They will understand that the work is the corruption, that the Imperium's necessary evils are still evils. That systematic grinding of human dignity for the machine's continued function extracts a cost that someone must pay. And when they break, when they cannot maintain the pretense anymore, when the weight of processing thousands of humans into paste becomes too much, they will either disappear into guild purges or join the cults or survive by becoming something less than human. Like I did, like all survivors do, like everyone who serves the Imperium long enough eventually does. The Imperium calls this necessity. The guild calls this service. The preachers call this duty to the Emperor. The nobles call this the natural order. I call it what it is: grinding. Grinding of bodies, grinding of souls, grinding of everything that makes humans human until only function remains, until only hunger remains, until only the machine remains. Turning forever, processing forever, consuming forever. In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no peace, no hope, no dignity, no salvation, only an eternity of grinding and the wet mechanical sound of civilization eating itself to survive one more day. Somewhere in the rebuilt Sector 9 Delta, Station 4, Line B has a new primary grinder operator. Someone else stands at my old machine, loading bodies, activating cycles, monitoring for jams. Someone else is learning to stop seeing people and start seeing biomass. Someone else is losing pieces of themselves to the work. Someone else is becoming what I became, what my father became, what my grandfather became. What everyone becomes who serves that function long enough. The station will have many operators. The operators will process millions of bodies. The bodies will become paste. The paste will become food. The food will be eaten. The eaters will die. The dead will become bodies. The circle completes. Forever. Without end. Without mercy. Without meaning except the meaning we assign to survival itself. And I sit in the underhive, eating corpse-starch that might contain them eventually. That might contain me eventually. That might contain everyone eventually. Because in the end, we all feed the Imperium, and the Imperium feeds on us. The processors become the processed, the consumers become the consumed. The circle completes through everyone. No exceptions, no escape, no redemption. Just grinding, forever grinding. That is the truth of Hive Arcos. That is the truth of the Corpse Guild. That is the truth of the Necromunda. That is the truth of the Imperium of man. We are all components in a machine that processes us into fuel for itself. Some components last longer, some break faster, but all components eventually fail. All components eventually become raw material for the next generation of components. All components eventually go through the grinder. This is not tragedy. This is not injustice. This is just function. This is just the Imperium operating as designed, grinding everything into sustenance for one more day of survival. One more day of war. One more day of existence that requires the sacrifice of everything that makes existence meaningful. My name is Torvin Gretsch. I processed corpses for 8 years. I ate corpses my entire life. I will be a corpse eventually, and someone will process me, and someone will eat me, and the work will continue. This is not a horror story. This is just truth. This is just reality. This is just how things work when you build civilization on grinding human bodies into human food, and call it necessary and force people to do it, and act surprised when those people either break or become monsters, or survive by becoming something that is neither human nor monster, but just empty, just functional, just waiting for the circle to complete. The child's hand was still warm when I fed it into the grinder. That was the day I stopped being human. I've not been human since. And in the grim darkness of the far future, nobody is human for long. We are all just meat, all just biomass, all just temporary configurations waiting to be ground down and reshaped into something more useful to the machinery. All waiting for the feast that never ends because the hunger never stops, because the Imperium's appetite is infinite and its mercy is non-existent and its necessity is absolute. The grinding continues, the circle completes. The meat saws sing their hungry song. And somewhere, in a rebuilt factory in Sector 9 Delta, a new worker feeds another body into another grinder and loses another piece of themselves, and the Imperium survives another day by consuming another soul. Forever grinding, forever consuming, forever completing the circle that defines existence in the 41st millennium. This is not the worst thing about the Imperium. This is just one thing. One necessary evil among billions, one sacrifice among trillions, one horror among infinite horrors. And it continues. It will continue. It must continue, because the alternative is worse. The alternative is death. The alternative is extinction. And in the calculus of imperial survival, any horror is acceptable if it delays extinction for one more day. The grinding never stops. Not for anyone, not ever. And that is the only truth that matters.